Hello. We at Hunting Bee Apiary are going to start our very first spring inspection for the year. We have one of our larger hives that I would like to inspect with you today. This hive was originally purchased as a package last year, and they have been absolutely successful in everything that they do. We like to run 10 frame deeps, and we also like to run Langstroth hives. With that being said, what I do is I go ahead and have an inner cover for my bees that I keep empty. If they need any extra supplemental sugar, I will put it here, which sucks up all the additional moisture, things like that. Otherwise, what I'm going to do is go ahead and start removing this extra amount of sugar, and then I'm also going to be opening up the inner cover and taking just a little peek to see how they're doing. See if the queen has lots of eggs. Does she have any brood in there? How are they doing? What are they looking like on their honey stores? Things like that. Are they going to survive the next few weeks? That's mainly important to me right now. This hive is usually bursting at the seams, so I want to be quite gentle to them. Most recently, I have actually gone ahead and I have put on a pollen patty about a couple weeks ago. Right now you can see that they're coming at my face. They're not happy that I'm in here, that I'm about ready to look inside and see what they're doing, but I have their best intentions for them. I can either choose at this point to go ahead and smoke them, or I can go ahead and use sugar syrup on them. Usually I try not to do either one of them. If I'm slow and gentle, I might just be okay. So right now it looks like they've been eating their pollen patty a little bit here and there. They have some sugar on here that I had given them that has some probiotics. I read that that was really good for the bees during the winter. So I had made up a sugar patty, and that way they could go ahead and have some of that, and it has a little bit of probiotics to help their tummies. So hopefully that would help them out. Now I'm going to go ahead and start. I don't necessarily want to go frame by frame per se. I'm just mainly concerned with how are they doing in the first deep. They're up in the top right now. Normally they'd be down below, but they've moved up top and they've remained up top. And it actually seemed like whenever I cleaned them out in the winter time that they actually had been covering both deeps, which was very interesting to me. So I think that they're going to be one of our biggest, healthiest hives and one of our top producers this year. And by top producers, I mean the bees that have the most amount of bees. So I am wearing nice leather gloves because I do have a tendency to get stung if I'm too clumsy. And then I also have my ventilated bee suit, which I chose to order because all the other suits I've ever tried before, you're always sweltering hot and they're never enough coverage. These are supposed to help prevent bee stings as well, and I figured this will help them out and this will help me out. So with this, here is one of my frames. You can see that they actually have not even filled this out from last year, from the winter or the fall. So this looks like they're just kind of working on it right now. There's a little bit of nectar in there, it looks like, possibly. I don't know where else they would have gotten it from other than nectar, because they've been coming in with pollen lately, which is awesome. So that's a good start for them. They're working on it nice and slow. Go ahead and take that frame and set that aside so that I have more room to work out here. That's how I like to do my frames. The outer frame looks like, this is kind of surprising, but I'll show you this one too. This one is closest to the edge. This was supposed to be their extra food store in case if they needed it, and it looks like we still have honey, so that's exciting for them. They still have honey in there. That's very surprising and very awesome, but it looks like they're good to go. A little bit of honey in there. They might actually have been starting to eat it too because the caps are open. That's pretty cool. This side does not have any honey. It's still empty, but they're good to go. Looks like they did go to the bathroom just a little bit inside the hive. Usually they don't. They'll try to make it outside, but if they can't go, and it's longer than 6 weeks or so, they say, then they will actually go outside and go to the bathroom. And if they can't hold it, they'll go inside the hive. If they have nosema, or something else, they will end up going ahead and going inside the hive as well. But these bees are covering, looks like almost 5 frames right now full of bees on the outside, which is good. I'm going to be nice and gentle, trying to pick up my frames and look at them and see how they're doing. So far I have not seen any eggs. I'm going to be nice and gentle. I want to make sure that I don't squash the queen in the process. That's always scary. And this queen is amazing. Yep, looks like we have nectar for sure. These bees are putting nectar in here, which is awesome. So I don't know if you can see that, but they're starting to fill it up with nectar again. So it looks like they've eaten it, all their honey, and now they're starting to fill it back up again. That's pretty exciting. I'd say that's definitely a sign that spring is officially here as well. Usually your first plants to go ahead and start producing for the bees, their first source of food is dandelions. We do not treat on our property. We are really good about trying to respect all of the food that the pollinators need. So we're hopeful that we can get more dandelions this year to help feed the bees. We'll see how it goes. Now we're getting closer towards the middle. We should hopefully see the queen in a little bit. She should be in here somewhere. Just be nice and gentle on trying to separate my frames. There's a lot of propolis in here. It's cold still. I think it's warm, but it says that it is 55 degrees right now. So the bees are flying, they're happy. My chances of chilled brood should be very low numbers because it's above 50 degrees and the bees are flying. That's why I'm not going to do a thorough cleaning at all. I'm just going to look around, see how they're doing, get a ballpark idea of what we're looking at, and kind of go from there. So right now, these ones, looks like we have eggs. I've got fresh eggs, which is great. Our little queen's here somewhere. I just don't know where she's at exactly. I'll have to see if I can spot her. I want to be extra careful, but it looks like the nurse bees are doing really well. They don't like my breath, by the way. Usually if you blow on bees, they're not very happy. But you can see them there. And then if I can turn this, I'd like to show you the eggs, if at all possible. Let's see if I can get a close-up. But there are eggs in there. I just saw them, and that's fantastic. Let's see. Hoping to see if I can see the queen, but I think she's further in. I don't want to disrupt them too much, but I do want to know, are they in both deeps? Should I swap the bottom deep with the top deep so they can work themselves up from the bottom to the top, which they normally do? Usually if you see them on the top and the bottom is empty, you want to swap them so they can fill up the bottom, and then they'll fill up the top as they go, and then once they're completely full, you should be able to add a honey super in the summertime if you're lucky. What's really neat is right about, let's see, I just saw a fresh baby on here, a little, oh right there. I don't know if you can see it, but right there is a little tiny fuzzy bee that has fuzzy eyes and a fuzzy body. They look like little baby bears. And those are fresh, new born bees that have just hatched, which is awesome. So there they are, my girls. They're doing good so far. I'm excited for them and their future. I'm just going to keep being slow and meticulous, hope for the best. I'm going to try to number my frames so that way I know what year I put them in. They say that every 5 years you want to go ahead and replace your frames and your foundations because of all the pesticides that are out there. Pesticides will collect in the plastic, so they say that eventually it'll slow down your bees and you need to go ahead and replace all of that. Also, the bees will make smaller beehive cells as they go because as the wax goes, it gets smaller and smaller and smaller, and then you end up with really tiny bees when you really actually want to have really big bees. So in order to alleviate that problem, usually you switch out your foundation, whether it's foundationless, waxed foundation, or plastic foundation. It's up to you. We use plastic foundation for now. One of these days I would like to try frameless foundation or foundationless frames. That would be nice. But again, it's all in due time. One project at a time. Right now, here I'm going on the next frame. I'm going to see what this one looks like. And this one had a lot of propolis because it was at the entrance of the hive. And that propolis hasn't quite warmed up yet, so it's very hard to navigate. Oh, there's the queen. I found her. This is fantastic. I love this. I'm gonna go ahead and show her to you. She's phenomenal. So if you look right here, you'll see right there where my finger is. That is our queen, minus the bee. There she is with the green dot on her. She is absolutely amazing. She's from her package from 2019. She is a beauty. There she is. So I was gonna set the frame down and try to cage her, but I really don't feel like it right now. I just want to kind of button everything up and keep looking along, making sure that she doesn't get injured. But you can see her there. She's gorgeous. And she's hanging around. She's definitely been laying. She's absolutely beautiful. So she's looking right now for empty cells to keep laying. But she's so pretty. And there she is. You can see she's not like the others, which is perfect. She's hairy and beautiful, and her green dot's still there. They love her. So, and she's a trooper, man. These bees have been just going gusto. I'm surprised for their package because surprisingly they've actually produced a ton of propolis, which I haven't had a hive like this one before. So that makes me very happy. You can see her right there. Her little butt in the air. There she is, digging deep into that cell, but that's our queen. We love her. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and button them up, and I'm going to keep inspecting the rest of it, but now I know where she's at, which is great, so I'm able to keep an eye on her, make sure that she's okay, and that I don't squish her, which is very good news. So from here on out, I'd like to put her back into place if I can, make sure that I can get all the frames together, and then just kind of slowly move everything together. This propolis is making it a little bit harder than I anticipated to get these frames back together, but at least we know where Queenie is. She does like to move up on top of the frames, up and over, so I need to be cautious of that as well whenever I go to put her back in. Right now I'm going to take off this pollen patty too, just to get an idea of the other frames. I see eggs. I don't see a lot of brood towards the middle. I kind of see a little bit, which is great. Now it looks like the bees are good on this side. I'm just going to open up a couple of frames over here. And then I'm definitely going to have to check down below and see how they're doing. I'm really curious at this point to know whether or not we are going to swap the boxes today. So, kind of fun things going on in the bee yard today. We're getting ready to go ahead and change everything around. Hopefully this summer, that would be really nice. This frame is definitely heavy. We've got more honey, as you can see. So that's good news. They're starting to eat through some of it because spring is here, but they are actually have a lot more honey than I thought they would. Here's another side of it with fresh honey. And I don't see any eggs in this one. With the yellow frames, oh, I do see eggs. With the yellow frames, they're a little bit harder to see the eggs, but it's pretty awesome. So we have black foundations, we have yellow foundations, we have waxed frames, we have unwaxed ones, just depends. Alright, now I'm just going to go ahead and button them up. They look good. I'm happy that they're alive. I'm happy everybody's doing good so far. And we'll see what happens down below. So other than that, our weather's been really good. This week is supposed to be very warm. So with that, we're super excited. I'm going to see what happens with the warm weather and how much we can get done. How many hives can we inspect? Is there enough food sources going on? It looks like the bees are doing pretty good. I know with the economy right now, we've had some food shortages when it comes to sugar. Normally when you get a package of bees or you get your nuke and you want to feed your bees in the spring and in the fall, you need sugar to feed them. Well, that becomes a problem when there's a epidemic going on and there's not enough sugar to go around for everyone. So it's one of the things to consider when you're starting to get into beekeeping. What's going on in your environment? Are you able to possibly carry on and be able to take care of your bees? Is there enough forage in your area where you don't have to worry about, you know, sugar and things like that? I mean, normally the bees will use sugar to go ahead and be able to create wax and be able to get everything going for their hive, and sometimes you just don't have that kind of access, so you don't know. That becomes scary. So It's always good to think about those things when you're first getting into beekeeping, because those are things to consider for sure. Now I'm pulling out this frame because I thought that this was the one that I had the queen on, and I wanted to double check that she was safe before I put the frames together. And either she's moved over or I have the frame right next to it because I don't see her. Either way, I'm trying to blow away from the bees so I don't aggravate them with my breath. So I'm going to slide this frame down into here. Try not to get too terribly close. But I do need to get them in close enough. And it's probable that she might be on this frame right here. I just want to double check before I put her away. Make sure that she's good to go. Another reason why I should cage my queen when I find her, so that I can, oh, there she is right there. Okay, so that way I can keep track of her, make sure she's good to go and not harm her in the process. Sometimes you just never know, and it's kind of scary to know that she's out there cruising around and I don't know where she's at. I'm going to gently push these back together. Hope that I have plenty of room and that she's not in between the frames, because she's a good one. They're all really good queens. Sometimes you have ones, mine are from 2018 on, and sometimes they just don't produce as well as they should. Sometimes they're kind of just wore out. They come from California and they have a long drive up here. Sometimes they're just kind of worn out. So I look at the bigger picture and I say, okay, well, you know, there's reasons why the queens are not producing enough bees as they should and why they're having trouble. There's a lot of things to consider about our queens. Oh, there's a little bee right there. Frame gripper. So now I'm going to go ahead and put these frames back together. I'm going to move this honey frame in closer for the bees. And then I'm going to take the empty one and put it on the outside. They're working on that. That's great. But this gives the bees a chance to have more food. I'm definitely going to move that frame in closer. I'm going to push these frames back together a little bit tighter so they're nice and clustered together. And then we are good to go with the top. I would like to go ahead and put everything back together. This was part of my queen excluder. I was hoping to have the bees be able to get the sugar from the queen excluder, but unfortunately, the way that mine ended up working out, my queen excluder was too small and all the bees got stuck and they couldn't get through, so I cut a hole in the queen excluder so they could get in and out and just have the sugar on top. That was my solution. So as you can see, overkill on the sugar, but it helps with the moisture. And I also had in here a lot of moisture absorbers. It's wood shavings and bags that I created. That's been good to go so far. The bees have done well with it. So now I'm just going to try to piece everything back together. I have homemade mouse guards in place and also commercial mouse guards in place, just because I really want the bees to have a good chance of not to have a whole bunch of pests or anything. So that's what I do for my setup. And now I'm going to try to put everything back in the way that it was so that they're good to go. They're out foraging, a lot of them, so that's good. I painted my roofs. I like it that way. Haven't had a problem. This is my empty honey super. Just a smaller box that I use. But I do keep it empty. I like to observe, and that way I can monitor everything, so I keep this on top, no big deal. I'm going to have to clean all this out soon, so I think we're supposed to have a week of good weather, possibly lower temperatures next week, but I would like to clean this out next week. I usually do right after spring, and then they're good to go. They can go out and forage and get all the healthy stuff, and we're good to go with that part so far. So that's the beginning. I will pause for a moment. I got to take all this apart, and then I'm going to go ahead and start working on the bottom deep, and we can see what's inside there. Thank you.